Hello, my name is Sarah Wood. Today we're going to be looking at a recent institutional change at Cleburne High School. Cleburne High School was established in 1884 in Johnson County, Texas, to serve the needs of a railroad community. As the community grew, it contributed to the rich traditions that can still be seen at Cleburne High School, including community involvement in pep rallies and rallying behind the school mascot, a yellow jacket. Recent changes in administration have caused some conflict within the school. Over half of the students at Cleburne High School are economically disadvantaged, and over half are labeled at risk to graduate. The mission and goal of Cleburne High School is to provide all students with rigorous and relevant learning. Some unstated goals include providing a safe learning environment and adhering to all state and district standards. The structure at Cleburne High School was hierarchical, with the principal being the leader of the school. The culture of the school would be considered aggressive defensive because a lot of the interactions between teachers and administration were forceful. Teachers felt that they had to adamantly defend autonomy in their classroom due to recent changes in administration and changes within the organization. The school itself was outdated and in disrepair. The hallways were often overcrowded with students due to how many students were in the hallways. A lot of the equipment was vandalized or broken. It was common to see broken desks and chairs within the classroom or vandalized desks in the classroom. Conversation at the school was also very negative. Teachers in teacher lounges often complained about the state of the school as well as student behavior. Students within the school would use inappropriate language. They would threaten other students as well as teachers. Expectations of the school were not enforced, which contributed to poor student behavior. Policies such as the tardy policy were not put into place, so students were often late to class or they didn't show up to class at all. This inability to enforce expectations led to a breakdown in the school structure because there were multiple students who would just roam the halls during class time. Due to the resignation of the most recent principal, Cleburne High School had an amazing opportunity to address some of the challenges that it was facing, including a high number of at-risk students, apathetic student behavior, low test scores, and minimal college readiness. The new principal was hired by a committee consisting of administration, department heads, and teachers. The committee used data gathered by a Google form that was filled out by all of the teachers and faculty at Cleburne High School. The new principal analyzed data that had been gathered by the previous principal, who was now the district's information analyst. She went straight away into individual meetings with faculty to get to know the challenges and the teachers at Cleburne High School. In the first faculty meeting that she hosted, she initiated a social contract and worked with faculty members to identify challenges within the school so that they could get on board with the upcoming change. The new principal, along with faculty members, were able to narrow down the challenges that Cleburne High School was facing and come up with a plan to address those challenges. To address the large population of at-risk students, the new principal created a vision for the school for each teacher to know and grow every student so that no student who was economically disadvantaged or less likely to graduate would be ignored in the classroom. Also, she developed an after-hours program which allowed students to take classes of their choosing, like guitar lessons or painting. This helped promote a positive interaction between students and school. It also provided economically disadvantaged students with an additional meal as well as an after-school program that they could participate in. To combat the student apathy, a program was initiated in the school called Capturing Kids' Hearts. This program promoted positive communication and respect within the classroom. It included creating a class social contract so that students took ownership in their behavior and they were able to self-regulate their behavior within the classroom. Another thing that was initiated to combat student apathy was a student advisory committee. So the new principal would meet with a rotating group of students to communicate with them about any concerns they were having. Low test scores were monitored through public learning communities. These communities would analyze data and collaborate with other members in their department to see which of the state standards were being taught well and which state standards needed to be improved upon. This allowed for teachers to openly communicate about how well they did in some areas, as well as ask for help in areas where they needed more ideas or more work on. To encourage college readiness, the new principal used after-hours classes on college applications and writing essays, along with providing new rituals like the college T-shirt initiative, where students who were accepted into colleges would receive a T-shirt from the high school for that college in the middle of class. And it was a ritual that the students looked forward to, so it encouraged participation in college readiness initiative. The new principal utilized many positive transformational leadership techniques when implementing the change. She would over-communicate the change using individual meetings with faculty meetings as a group, frequent emails to teachers and students and community members, professional flyers, and newsletters. She also instated new rituals such as morning huddles between vice principals to discuss goals. The monthly mingle was initiated by the new principal to encourage social interaction between teachers. Also, the new principal advisory committee opened up a channel of communication with students. Another new ritual that had a lot of success was the college t-shirt ritual. The new principal implemented a new vision to know and grow every student. This was a vision that a lot of the teachers could really get behind, especially since we had a large population of at-risk students. We also used a social contract that we established during our first faculty meeting. This was a contract between faculty and administration, and it promoted respect and communication and trust between faculty members and administration. In order to reduce resistance, the new principal used communication techniques to promote the change, and she included faculty members in the change process. Also, for faculty members who needed extra help, she provided adequate training for those members of the organization. While the new principal did take steps to minimize resistance to the change, she was still met with opposition from faculty members, the student population, and the community. A lot of the faculty members didn't think that the new principal was authentic and didn't trust her leadership. This caused them to be inactive in the change process, as well as it led to a few resignations from teachers. Students aggressively resisted the change. They were not included in the change process, and communication through the principal's advisory committee had yet to be established, so they didn't have a good outlet to express their concerns about the change. This led to a 2-day walkout that disrupted class. During this walkout, there was a chant for the termination of the new principal. The community also expressed resistance to the change. A parent for one of the students that went to Cleburne High School at the time started a petition that called for the reinstatement of some of the teachers who had been let go. The petition was signed by 810 community members and was brought to the school board. However, it was ineffective because those teachers were not reinstated. The petition also expressed a lack of trust in the new principal's ability to lead a school, and it also stated a concern that the new principal did not have the right motives or values to lead the school. Although news of the walkout was made known to the new principal before it was initiated, the new principal was advised by the superintendent to not take action in hopes that it was just a false claim. After the walkout did occur, however, the new principal set up multiple meetings with the students who were responsible for orchestrating the walkout. She initiated open conversation with the student and addressed their concerns. This opened up a pathway of communication and led to the principal's advisory committee. Although she handled the resistance with the students very well, there was not any response to the petition. Also, the only response for actively resisting faculty members was asking them to resign in lieu of termination. In order to promote sustainability of the change, the new principal relied on her communication skills to convey the purpose of the change as well as keep people motivated using her vision. She also instated new rituals such as the monthly mingle and after-hours classes to encourage a sense of community and open communication between faculty members and students. She would also provide appropriate training to faculty members who are struggling with implementing the new change process. Some of the new changes implemented by the new principal had positive impact on the school. For example, the specialized roles for vice principals allowed them to tackle a more vigorous workload. The after-hour classes that were initiated provided at-risk students with a meal as well as an activity that got them excited about school. New rituals promoted open communication among teachers and administration as well as among teachers and students. It also provided the school with a sense of community and a more positive school culture. While the change did have some positive impact for the school, there was no increase in test scores, no increase in graduation rate, not a significant decrease in discipline issues, and no increase in student attendance. Because of this, the change goals that were put into place at the beginning of the change process were not met. The new principal did a great job initiating the change process. She took the time to get to know the organization through individualized meetings, faculty meetings, and discussions. She encouraged faculty engagement by asking their opinion about the change process and getting them involved in the change process. She used over-communication to convey the change and her vision of the change, and she established new rituals to promote open communication and to provide a sense of community to the organization. The new principal did a great job preventing resistance through open communication and establishing new pathways of communication. However, she failed to identify various forms of resistance before they became a problem. Overcoming resistance was also a difficulty that the new principal faced. While she did a great job addressing the issue of the student walkout, the issues of the petition and teacher resistance remain a problem in the organization. The principal also could have done more to promote the sustainability of the change within the organization. The new principal failed to gather data and use that data to monitor the progress of the change, which caused the goals of the initial change plan to not be met. Overall, the change was ineffective. Although it did provide a much needed shift in the culture of the organization, it did not address the main challenges the school was facing, such as student behavior, low test scores, and high-risk students. The change also did not overcome the majority of the resistance it faced, which impacts the sustainability of the change moving forward. The change leader needs to reevaluate the needs of the organization and implement a plan to monitor the progress of the goals in order to sustain a more meaningful change that addresses the challenges of the organization.